Hello, hello! Welcome here to this video of intense level head levels. Woo. Pretty basic concept, same as my own random level series. I'm just doing a set of intense levels. Why am I doing intense levels? Well, I actually started I did one video on it before, but I never did a follow-up video, and so it's kind of annoying to me have a little playlist with just the one video on it. I don't see myself having any issues with this, so because of that, what I'll be doing is I'll just tell you a story as I go. I'll start off with a joke, and then I'll lead into a story, and we'll see how that goes. So pop. Alright, so off we go. Easy peasy. See, we have our intense level set up here. So random it is. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so should be grand fun. Should be even, some might say, easy peasy. So to start off with, I shall tell a joke. Or more specifically, I shall tell you a story. A story about a bee named, we'll go Beyonce, because it's a bee. Oh no, that's not your checkpoint. Sure. So I get this. So how do I get past that? Use the jump line, is it? And that the trigger for them is below. Okay. So where was I? So this bee decided that they would become a rapper. You know, they'd go around, they'd beatbox about the hive, they'd beatbox about all the bees that they did. And of course it was a female bee, because, it was a worker bee. But a worker bee with aspirations. That's the way it worked. The bee, they want to do more with their life than just, collect pollen, make honey, look at enviously at the drones during the summer as they just lounge around in their flowers and come back and get some of their honey. Because, drones have it relatively easy. Apart from the fact that they're murdered from winter, but that's neither here nor there. So this bee, did many a bee thing. So, am I supposed to hold up? What? I'm going up here, is it? That's gonna kill me. Oh no, that's it. Okay. So this bee decided they wouldn't be a rapper. They went to escape the dullness of the hive, the drudgemony, if you will. They just wanted to live their own lives. So they did, bee things. So, at first they'd go around, to all their bee friends and they'd start beatboxing. Because that's what bees do. They beatbox. They beatbox. That's just the way of bees, I assume. Okay, here's my chance. Never mind. We're gonna have to wait a moment. Apparently I have slightly overestimated these levels. Well, sorry, underestimated. Those the gems that indicate the safe spaces. Oh. Right, so this bee, they go around telling all their friends about rapping. They'd collect, all the rap CDs they could, somehow, despite being a bee, they'd fly off to human concerts and they'd buzz away in the background, doing bee things, chatting away, doing big bee things. Until one day, they're off in the middle of a hive, No, actually, they're out one day collecting pollen, right? And they're just going boom, 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 buzz, buzz, buzz. They're buzzing away, you know, bee buzzing, if you would. You know, they're doing whatever they want to do, really. And they're living their life. You know, and they're, you know, being happy out and doing their own jazz. When all of a sudden they hear to decide their shit. Oh wait, what? I did not look at that properly. So yeah, they look up properly to the side anyways. And they're going buzz, 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 you know, the bee and the host, you know, as bees do, I'm sure. And all of a sudden they see this other bee, this drone, sitting back on a flower, you know, and back across the back of his head, and he's there just smoking because I guess bees smoke. And he's wearing a pair of sunglasses, and he looks at him. He looks at the bee right in the eyes, and he goes, "Girl, you got it." Now she didn't know what she got, or even who this guy was, but she went, "Wah." Because, you know, they're bees. They're not exactly taught, you know, be careful of strangers. They're kind of taught, yeah, you know, do what you need to do for the hive. Bam, bam, bam. So she goes off and she does whatever she wants. You know, she goes and she has a chat with the guy. This bee, his name was the Buzz. That's what his name is, the Buzz. He's like, yeah, world, you know, you got that magic that magic voice. Sure, why not? And so he goes off and he goes and says, yes, you should, you know, you go and why don't I sign you up to my bee label and, you know, we'll get you off with, I'll make you famous. Interspersed with a bit more buzzing because, you know, they're bees. And, you know, she says, oh, I'd love to, but I need to think about it. I don't know if I can, you know, leave the hive to do that. Because, you know, like, the hive it's a big responsibility for bees, you know? It's essentially their lives, you know? Their life is the hive. They, you know, a worker bee has to, like, you know, give everything they can to the hive. They have to do as much as possible for it. So she goes off and she goes home and she goes and chats to her bee. I suppose because they're bees, it would have to be like the queen, because only the queen, you know, the queen would be the mother bee. Exactly much of a parental structure in bees. She goes off anyways and she chats to the queen and she's like, you know, oh queen, after getting this this magnificent offer, I get to fulfill my dreams. And the queen goes, not in my hive you won't. And she puts her foot down in the hive. And she's just like, queen, why are you being so mean to me? I just want to follow my dreams. The queen just shakes her head and goes, do you think I want to sit here in a hive? You know, fat as fuck, not even able to fly? Fucking laying out these eggs all day? No, I don't, but I do it for the hive. Now you get out there, you go get some of that fucking pollen, or, you know, things. Or, you know, you'll be on guard duty. You know, bees have guards. You know, they have just like some bees who just sit by the entrance to the hive and like sniff out intruders. But they're also like really, really bad at their job. As in, like, they ridiculously bad at their job. Like, they're useless. Like most, you know, if something tries to get into the hive, you know, tries to sneak in, they're gonna get in. The bees aren't gonna fucking stop them. Because they're just, again, kinda useless at it. So that's your weird bee fact anyways. So Bethabee thinks about it for a while. She knows that her duty is to the hive, above all else. But she also knows that this is what she wants to do with her life. And she may just be a bee, but she's a bee with aspirations, God concern it. You know, not to stick in this hive forever and, you know, meet a nice drone and settle down, because that's not how bees work anyways. You know, bees don't just meet a nice drone. But yeah, she's a bee anyways, who just wants to live her life in a bee, in the bee fashion. But yeah, so she goes off anyways, and she goes and she, you know, goes lots of soul searching. She chats to her friends. At one point, she even goes and heads out to the, you know, because it's midsummer. Hence why the drones are alive. She heads out to the flower patch where all the drones hang out. She's like, lads, I could do with some advice here. And, well, I mean, they're drones. They're essentially, the way I think of them as the bros of bees, you know, they're just there sitting back in their flowers going, bro, you know, because it's stupid and it's free. You know, they're off, you know, doing what drones do, which, if I had to assume, includes a lot of chucking cans, you know, and not really being productive, or whatever. Classic bro stuff. And then she goes and gets their advice, they're just like, bro, you should totally do it, you know, be fucking sick. Just, again, they're bees. There's not exactly much going on in the bees. But you know, so she does more thinking about it. She consults her bee friends. She consults, you know, Beatrice. She controls Buzz, you know, a very poorly named bee. She goes off and she chats to all of them. And eventually she goes and she decides that, look, if I'm to be the best possible bee that I can be, I need to follow my dreams. So that's what she does. She goes off, she goes and she rings the number, because bees apparently have phones now. And she goes and she says, I'm in. And your man, he picks up, he goes to this guy who was what, the Buzz? The Buzz. The Buzz, you know, he picks up the phone and he goes, you won't regret it, lassie. So, you know, that night, she sneaks out of the hive anyways. She goes over to the door when, you know, the dead of night, when all the guard bees are, I guess, asleep. And she goes and she just has a chat. As she's about to get out, she's stopped by her best friend, Beatrice. Beatrice is just like, Bethabee, you can't do this. You can't, you know, do that to yourself. You can't, like, just leave like that. That's not allowed. We're bees. We have a responsibility to both the hive and to ourselves, you know. And you know, she just thinks to herself, and she's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to go ahead and I want to live my life. I want to be something more than just a bee. And of course, this whole idea is unfathomable for bees. You know, it's very much a case of them going, nah, this is terrifying stuff. You know, because bees, basically their whole society is based off of doing everything the queen says to do. Or not even the queen says to do, but their weird, complicated pheromone system. Speaking of which, you know, there's this thing called queen substance, the queen's secret, that bees just like smell or sniff, I suppose. What? How am I supposed to? Oh, that's how. Well, this isn't helping very much. Anyhow, this is something called queen substance, where basically queens secrete this pheromone for bees. And what the worker bees essentially do, it's not as if they are always aware of the queen, but it's their way of just kind of knowing the queen's there, is that they constantly just lick, you know, they smell the substance, they smell it off other bees, they lick it off other bees, they lick it off the queen, and they just go around the place just doing all that nonsense. You know, insects in general are just fucking weird, like, they have all these weird, complicated things. Like, you know, ants, okay, there are colonies of ants that just go ahead and, like, enslave other ants. Like, there's whole colonies built off of, you know, just raiding other ant colonies to get other ants to do the work for you. Like, it's nuts. Anyhow, so her friend stops her at the door. And, you know, the friend's like, if you don't stop, I'm going to tell the queen. And, you know, you're gonna regret it. And she's like, I have made my decision. And she says she's going to stand by it. From hell or high water, this bee was going to become a rapper. Bit of a twisted bee movie if you ask me, but, you know, this is not my place to comment. What am I doing now? Oh, I see. And drop. So she goes off anyways, and with one final look out the arse with the, one final look out the hive, you know, back to the hive, she goes, no. She flies away into the darkness. Towards, this level's something new. Oh, for fuck's sake, what is this? Do I have to put a bomb here every single time? Yeah? Oh, no. Okay. Maybe? No. Would have just like to know about that design decision, but no, actually, you said it exploding and more things explode is nice. Oh, it's a frenzy level, not bad. What will I say? Yeah, so she just leaves the house. She leaves the hive, she dons her sunglasses, because bees wear sunglasses, I guess. Do bees even have eyes? I think so? I don't know. I mean, I have questions from what oh, Jesus Christ. Bum, bum, bum. Right. So she goes off anyways, and she does her bee things. You know, she goes and she meets the buzz, and the buzz is like, we'll make you a store. She's like, okay. So she goes off anyways, and she enters this world of rapping. You know, she enters some beatboxing competitions with various what? Sorry, is this random? I guess it is. That's a bit of a nuisance. Actually, no, that's really annoying. Having a level that starts off based on speed, or at least you could get through it fairly quickly, and then they turn it into, you know, pick a path. Wait a second. Oh. If you put the battery in there, it softlocks you. That feels like a poor design decision, if anything. And then I can head out. So she begins her career as a rapper. You know, she goes off and she plays in all the big places. Raps, yes. You know, she has competitions with the best. You know, they go and they have, you know, rap battles. They have, you know, the most epic rap battles of history, I guess. I don't know. I don't really listen to rap. You know, this is all just part of the B story. It's not my story, it's her story. You know, it's just the way of things. But, you know, she goes off anyways, and she starts to lead this exciting life. She's, you know, rubbing her bee shoulders with elbows, I guess? Bees don't have elbows. But she rubs her head with bee elbows with all the, like, the high-ups and, like, the rap community, and, you know, all this, like, the scenes, she, B&M, 50 bees, I don't know. But 50 bees, it's sick. Just 50 bees in a trench coat, just going, anyway. So eventually now, you know, a couple of years pass, and she has a really successful career as a rapper. You know, around her, basically all her dreams have come true. You know, the buzz, bless his heart, he only made a couple of passes at her. You know, he was not as bad as he could have been. Hidden key. Actually, where's the key for this? Yeah, you know, the buzz makes a couple of passes. You know, only tries to get her, like, taking drugs like a few times. So, you know, overall, he's kind of okay. He's probably a fairly typical number. I don't know. This is you know, it's a story. A story about a bee who becomes a rapper. I mean, like, if you're looking for realism, this probably isn't the story for you. So, anyways. She has a very successful career as a bee rapper. As a rapping bee. But she has a very successful career as a rapping bee. You know, she goes around the place, she, you know, signs with all the record labels, she makes, you know, money hand over buzz. She's as happy as a bee could be. Or so she thinks. One evening, she's in her dressing room, just before a show, and a bee comes up to her. So this bee comes up to her, and this bee, you know, he's... Oh, that's it. And this bee, we'll call him Tim B. No, I won't call him Tim B. He's too close to Tim. Oh, for this word, you know, Tim of Levelhead. That's very cool. We'll call him Timmy the Bee. You know, I was trying to make it. Yeah, so Timmy. the little Timmy the bee, some of his wings were broken. You know, very sad, very tragic story of a bee who was, I guess, the sole survivor of his hive after a horned attack. She takes him in, and she starts raising this bee, who's also a female, because if it's a drone, let's be honest, but that drone's not getting anywhere. And she starts raising this bee as if he was wrong. She treats him great. She takes him out for foods. She, again, quite literally treats this bee as if she herself had raised him. Now she hadn't, and bees, I'm assuming anyways, don't have maternal instincts, but she does so anyways. Until eventually, Until eventually, one day, this bee, this small bee, turns to her and goes, and she's been watching this bee for about a couple of years now. Raising him, changing his bee, he's changing his bees, I guess. That's all I need to say. Changing what needs to be changed in a bee. I'm giving that bee the life that she feels that bee deserves. And the bee, one night anyways, that bee, at this point now, she's still doing quite a bit of rapping, but her songs have gone a bit more, she's become a family rapper. Less of rapping about, all the very many boyfriends she, as a bee, had. But now it's more about, it's more about family. Less her wriggling her booty because she's a bee. I guess, I don't know. I don't listen to it. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But she does what she feels she needs to do. Her raps start becoming about how much she loves her kids. Her kid. She starts talking about, what it means to become mother of a bee. What it means to be a bee. In this, uncertain, changing world. What it means to even exist in this kind of world. And in time, so at first she was worried that, this change in her material was going to negatively affect her career because, it happened to many people. You change the stuff you do and people are like, oh, no thank you. But no, actually, it seemed to be going really well for her. At first people were a bit on the... Sorry, did that last album have a 12-second record? That seems a bit dodgy. Anyhow, people were nice to her. She was as popular as ever, and now she also got to look after Timmy the Bee as well. Actually, really interesting thing about... I'm going to go on a tangent again for fun bee facts, which I guess is what I do now. I mentioned that, Timmy the Bee's family was killed by a Japanese hornet. Interestingly, yeah, so with the Japanese hornets, right? Okay, oh, it is. The reason why they're so deadly to European honeybees is that they have no, resistant mechanisms to them. In Japan, the Japanese, or at least the Japanese honeybees, what they do is they've evolved a defense mechanism against the Japanese hornets. So whereas over in European honeybees, a Japanese hornet will just absolutely slaughter an entire hive, and it's effectively an unstoppable terminator. Right. So the Japanese honeybees basically have developed a defense mechanism. Something they're able to do to actually stop the bees. What they do is, when the Japanese honeybee enters the hive, one of the bees, I think it's a bee's death anyways that triggers them. They basically release this pheromone scent. And what the bees do is they just fucking, the Japanese bees, they just fucking swarm the hornet. And I mean like swarm as in like they just buzz all over the fucker. They climb over them, they go, they just basically everywhere, and they just start buzzing. And they start like shaking themselves and vibrating over and over and over and over as much as possible. Because what the bees are doing is they're vibrating and they're heating up the bee. So the bees are starting to heat up. The hornet, who's now absolutely surrounded, is also heating up. And the heat from the bees So the bees, the temperature at which they die is slightly higher than the temperature at which the hornet dies. So the hornet gets really warm and dies, and the bees just go back to work. Well, the bees that survive, some of them probably die in it, but the bees might just about manage to survive, basically cooking this hornet in defense. So anyways, so one day anyways, Timmy the bee, he's having nightmares of his hive. Let me restart that. He's having nightmares. He wakes up in cold bee sweats. Because again, he's a bee. He's waking up in these cold sweats. And she's worried about him. And he's just like, I wanna go home. But of course his home is gone. And Bethabee is like, I'm sorry, my son, your home is gone. And the bee is just, he's inconsolable. He can't be consoled. He's there. He's all this tiny little bee wants to go is to have a home. And sure, she's giving him a home, but what place is it for a child? He needs more. He needs other bees, other bees of to hang out with and to buzz with and do miscellaneous bee things with. That's what he needs. So what she decides to do is, and at this point now, it's been about 10 years since she herself left her hive. And she thinks about it. And then she decides, okay, I'm going to bring him to my hive, to where I was born. And I want to bring him here so that he can have something resembling a normal bee childhood. I'm using years here. Let's just assume those are bee years because I really don't want to do bee conversions. Bees only live for, I think it's a couple of weeks. I'd have to consult with a bee person or even just the internet, but I'm not stopping a recording to check the internet to fact check my silly story about bees. So she returns to work, so she goes and she returns to the hive with her son Timmy to be in tow. Timmy on his crutches because I guess I'm an asshole. So she has Timmy to be in tow, and they return. And so she was expecting a really negative engagement, but instead, surprisingly, everybody just like, oh my god, you're finally back, you're finally home. She's just blown away. The queen, who has lost some weight at this point, comes over and she puts her hand, she doesn't have hands, her weird fucking grabby leg thing on her hypothetical shoulder, because I guess bees don't have shoulders. And fuck it, she pats her on the knee. Bees don't have knees, but fuck it, it's a knee anyway. She pats her, and he goes, I'm so sorry. I should have realized that a bee can be more than just a bee. And they have a heart-warming hug as, they reunite, and the whole hive is like cheering and everything. And that's actually it's finished as well. And the entire hive is cheering. Everyone is just absolutely delighted to see her. Let me just stop the game there. Everyone's absolutely delighted to see her, and they're cheering, and they're cheering, and they're hugging, and they're crying. And so that night they have a party, right, where they bring together everyone. They, bring them all together. They decide they're going to have a rager of a party to show that, our own worker bee, Bethabee has returned to the hive with her son. We're going to show in that, our appreciation. And of course, because there's a son, there has to be some level of like PG-ness to the party itself, but whatever. So the night of the party, Bethabee turns up in a flawless red bee dress. Those bees wear clothes, I guess, in this hypothetical universe. With Timmy, in a golden suit. He goes and he goes buzz, 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 buzz. Anyway, so they make their way down. They walk through the hall. And there's people left and right, turning to him, congratulating him, going, oh my god, I haven't seen you in years, Jonathan. Oh my god, Jenny to be, used to teach math really well because bees learn math, I guess. And, at one point, Timmy, he goes off and he tugs on her dress and he's like, can I have a drink? You want a drink? I'm thirsty. And, Bethabee's like, okay, let's go find you a drink. So Bethabee goes, and she starts looking around, like, oh, what drinks have been provided here? I'm not quite sure. So she sees, basically there's this table off to the left. Just some bees sitting around, chatting away. And there's just a table there, and on the table there's a couple of different bowls, various different drinks. The bees are just coming up to you and going, come on, no. Bees aren't very hygienic, I suppose. So she walks up to the first. She goes and she's looking at it, and the very first bowl seems to be a bowl of honey, and she's like, oh, could do with me some of that, but no, the line to the honey is just it's way too long. Timmy is he's getting a bit impatient. He's talking on her going, I want a drink, give drink, and she's just like, oh. So she goes to the second line, and it's a line to a bowl of sugar water. Not as fancy as the honey, all right, but it's fine. And it's also too long. She does have a chat with the bee at the back of the line though, which just turns to her, and it's actually one of the bees that actually it was her best friend. It was Beatrice. And Beatrice turns to her, and Beatrice, the years haven't been good for her. She's missing half a wing when her legs are a bit crooked. And she's just like, oh, Bethabee, I'm so sorry, I should have supported you better. I'm so sorry. And they have a tearful reunion. And I suppose bees really respect lines, they're very respectful of the rules, so there's no cutting a line. But, so Beatrice, they hug and they cry, and Timmy goes, Mum, give drink. So, Bethabee is like, I'll catch up with you later when we get this little ladder drink. And she goes over to the next bowl. The next bowl is just water. I don't know why the bees have water. I don't even know if bees like water. But the line to that was also really long. I guess they're like cleaning themselves. And she's just there like, oh my god, what? I know we like rules and all, but why do we have to keep up with this kind of thing? And she goes over to the very last line, to the very last bowl on the table, which, it was a bowl, and she saw the sign over it. It was a bowl of punch. But don't you know what? Do you know what now? For this entire story has led up to this. And what do you know? There's no punchline.